May I call the next case, Your Honor?
Please.
Item number 85, ATANL 2018-00054, Judith Nagy and Mikios Sisensi. The code enforcement officer is Michael Fuentes.
Ma'am, would you please state your full name and street address for the record?
Judith Nagy. The property address is 14125 Northeast 16th Avenue, North Miami, Florida 33162.
You're the owner?
Yes.
Okay.
One
City?
of the owners. We
One
own
of
it
two.
between two of us.
City, please proceed.
The city would like to call Michael Fuentes. Mr. Fuentes, can you please state your name for the record?
Good morning. Michael Fuentes, City of North Miami Animal Control Officer.
Can you please tell the court a little bit about your background and experience?
I'm here 26 years. I'm the Animal Control Officer for 7.
Thank you. Now, did you come about a violation with a dog, around the location of 14125 Northeast 16th Avenue, North
Yeah.
Miami, Florida 33161 on 12/10/2018?
Yes, that's correct.
How did you come about this violation?
The dog was at large in the street in the school zone area.
Now, Your Honor, I'm showing the property owner 2 photographs from 12/10/2018.
The little dog. That's my tenant's dog.
Please.
Mr. Fuentes, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that photograph?
I took the photos.
Are they from 12/10/18?
Yes, they are.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of the animal that you saw at large on
No.
12/10/2018?
That's correct.
At this time, the city would like to introduce the photograph into evidence.
Any objection from the property owner? To the
Yeah.
photograph, just the photograph?
No, the photograph, no.
Okay.
Now, Mr.
Admit it.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Fuentes, you found this dog on the street, correct?
That's correct.
And did you communicate with the dog? Or what did
As
you
I
do?
approached it, it went down the block and it went home. It turned around and it started barking. That's an indication that the dog lives there. I knocked on the door. The lady came out and she said, yes, the dog belongs to her.
Now, who's the lady that came out? Is it this property owner?
No, it's not.
Okay, was it it was somebody else?
That's correct.
Okay, and what was your conversation with that?
Just educate her and let her know that the dog wasn't supposed to be at large, if she was up to date with current rabies vaccinations and license tags. The woman wasn't. I gave her the opportunity to get the correction of rabies vaccinations and license tags, and I did a re-inspection 10 days later.
Okay, did you give her a violation for animals at large?
Yes, I ticketed her for the animal being at large in the school zone area.
Did she admit that it was her animal?
Yes, she did.
1 second. Now, at any point when you witnessed the animal, did it have a rope on it?
No, there was no lead, no leash, no collar, nothing.
Was there a chain?
No,
Any type of suitable device?
no,
Was it enclosed by anything, or was it just in the middle of the street?
no, it was in the middle of the street. In one of the pictures, it depicts that the animal's in the street, and then he went towards the corner.
No further questions for this witness.
Let me clarify something. You said you asked someone if they owned the dog, and they admitted that they did,
Yes.
but it wasn't this
No.
lady.
It was my tenant.
Okay, well, I'll get to that in a second. Is there any way for a code officer to identify the ownership of a dog, other than asking? Is there any
Just-
collar or other device to be able to identify the ownership?
Just to ask for proper rabies vaccinations and license tags, which she didn't have at that time, but later on she did get the dog rabies vaccinated and licensed, and I went back and I verified that.
Okay, so if the dog belongs to a tenant, What is the liability of the property owner for the dog running at large?
Well, that's the procedure and how it's done. It goes towards the property owner.
Mhm.
Even though there's a tenant there, the ticket goes towards the property.
Okay, and this was a ticket that was issued by yourself
Yes,
to the tenant or to the owner?
to the property owner.
To
That's
the
how it's-
property
yeah,
owner.
that's
How,
what-
how was it issued? How was notice given?
I had written up a citation, looked up all the information to the property owner, and she signed the ticket. And it was presented to her, and then it was mailed later on.
Okay, Madam City Attorney, explain to me how an owner
Yes.
is responsible for the violations committed by a tenant under these particular circumstances. This has nothing to do with the property. This is a dog running loose.
Correct, Judge. If I may, I'm going to request that Your Honor dismiss this case. I'm referring to Section 4-7, reason being, any person owning, possessing, or having control or custody of the animal shall be held strictly liable. I'm noticing the violation. The tenant isn't the actual person who is listed. It is the homeowner, and it would be unfair to, and it honestly doesn't fit under the law that she is the person who owns, possesses, or has control or custody of this animal.
I had a good talk with the tenant after this, and I explained
Ma'am,
to
your,
her.
your case is dismissed. Thank you.
Thank
Case
you.
is dismissed because the law does not apply to the property owner. It governs the actions of whoever the owner of the dog is. And you're not the owner of the dog, correct?
Okay,
Are you
Thank
the
you.
owner of the dog?
no.
Okay, then the case is dismissed.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Make sure that you let your tenant know that this is not allowed and it may constitute a violation of your lease.
I had a good talk with her, and she even gave me a copy of the vaccination, that she had the dog vaccinated, and that everything is up to par
Just
now.
make sure that your tenant complies.
Yes, I keep reminding her. I
Okay.
spoke to her ever since.
Otherwise,
then.
she might be in violation of the lease.
Thank you.
Next case?
Last ticket appeal, item 123, CTTRE 2018-000006, Ruth St. Fard. Code Enforcement Officer Ernst Baptiste. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste, can you please state your name for the record?
Ernst Baptiste, Code Enforcement Officer, the City of North Miami.
And can you please tell us about your background and experience?
Been with the city since 2007 as a recreation specialist and moved to Code in 2014 and work as a Code Enforcement Officer.
Now, did you come across the property of 995 Northeast 132nd Street, North Miami, Florida 33161 on November 28th, 2018?
Yes, I did. I received an anonymous complaint about that address,
And what was the anonymous complaint?
that a tree was being cut. And when I checked to see if there was any permit, I didn't see any permit.
Okay. I'm showing the property owner some photographs.
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste, I'm showing you two photographs. One of those photographs, do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, I recognize one. One of them was taken by me.
Okay. Now, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the property in question?
Yes.
Now, when was was that photograph taken? Was that on November 28, 2018, when you went on the property?
It was taken on November 27, 2018.
Was that the date before the violation?
That's the day the picture was taken, and I wrote the violation the next day.
Is there a reason for that?
Yes, it was at the end of the day, and when I received the call, I was leaving, so I took the picture for record.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the city would like to introduce the photographs into evidence.
Any objection from the property owner?
Object.
As to the photograph, does the photograph show the area in question in your
Yes,
house?
it
Is
does.
it accurate? Then I'll admit it.
Now, Mr. Baptiste, there's two other photographs there. They were from June 2018, correct?
Yes.
Are they photographs of Google Maps?
Yes.
So it's a before picture of what the tree actually looked like when it was in place.
Correct.
Is it the same property?
Yes.
At this time, the city would like to introduce those two photographs from Google Maps into evidence.
Please show them to the property owner.
I did, Judge. I showed all of them.
You're okay with the photographs coming into evidence? Without objection? Admit it.
Now, did you have an opportunity to see if there was a permit obtained for removing this tree?
Yes, I checked the record, and there was no permit for tree removal.
Did you actually see anybody doing work on the property?
Yes, when I went to the house to do my investigation, there were someone working at the property.
What were they doing?
They were doing some of the work, and I spoke to them about, because the material was there, but they weren't exactly doing the work when I showed up, and I spoke to them about the violation, and they said they were only contractors.
Now, Judge, I have a letter from Allison Walker, who's the consulting arborist for the city of North Miami. I can show the property owner, and I'd like to introduce it into evidence. May I?
Yes, you may go ahead and show it to her. What is the name of the arborist?
Allison Walker.
I'd like you to establish a predicate before I admit the Allison Walker's letter into evidence.
Now, Ms. Walker is a consulting arborist. She's hired by the city of North Miami. What she does is, and I can tell you myself because I'm the one that submitted the photographs to her. The photographs that are in evidence were submitted to Ms. Walker. She gives a brief description of the tree removal at the property of 995 Northeast 132nd Street. And she gives her opinion as to whether or not this tree is one of the trees that is an exception to the code. There's certain trees that are exceptions that it doesn't matter if they are knocked down without a permit, but she advises whether or not this is one of those trees.
Like Australian pines are not protected, right?
Don't quote me on all the trees.
Is the violation based on the size of the tree or the type of tree? How do you determine a violation?
So you need a tree removal under Chapter 29, Section 5, 2301, subsection D. I can pass that up to Your Honor as well. It's a
Yes.
statute that relates to it. A tree removal permit is required, period, for any tree removal. The exception is if it's a certain type of tree as defined by the code. It's as pretty much a prohibited species. Her expertise, by seeing the photographs and the actual bark that are pretty clear in the photographs that are into evidence, is that it's not one of the prohibited species in the code.
So the property owner could remove it,
If it was
subject to getting a permit.
yes, but she
Okay.
didn't have a permit.
All right, can I see
So-
the letter?
Sure.
Thank you.
Would you like me to pass up the statute as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Which department would handle an application for a tree removal? Code.
Community planning and development.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to hear from the property owner. Will you state your name and street address for the record?
My name is Ruth Sandford. I live in 995 Northeast 132nd Street, North Miami.
You're the property owner.
I am.
Do you contest the violation?
I contest because that tree was full of termites. Because of that, and I have another one in front of the house, which is not in my property, that I have to change my front door 3 times, and I'm about to change the garage door because the tree is full of termites. I didn't know I needed a permit. That's why I didn't get a permit.
What is the city's position with respect to this case? The tree has already been demolished. Is the city seeking a fine and a replacement tree, or what exactly are you looking for?
Judges, the city is seeking an adjudication and a fine of $500.
I'm willing to replace the tree.
I don't know that would help beautify your property, but it's not going to mitigate the fact that you violated the code by demolishing the tree without a permit. I understand that you didn't know. In the future, though, if you are to demolish a tree within the city limits, you must apply for a tree permit. So based on the testimony and the evidence presented, and the photographs that I reviewed, I'm going to adjudicate a fine of $300 against the property owner, and hopefully in the future you will
Thank you.
Comply.
And Your Honor, if the city may inquire, in terms of the reduction, is it because of the termites, or what, is there a reason?
No, I just believe that, number one, the fact that she didn't know, the fact that the tree was in a way a hazard because of the termites, and based on the circumstances, the fact that few people know about getting a permit for a tree removal, I think that based on the circumstances, a slight reduction is warranted. So I will uphold my fine at $300.
Thank you. I have a question.
And also the fact that it was not one of those prohibited trees that you can't take down under any circumstances.
Okay,
Okay.
the city's position is that, and we respect your decision, is that not knowing that she needed a permit is really not an excuse. We didn't have any, besides the homeowner's testimony, actual evidence that was presented that stated that the tree had termites. Even if we did, she would still need to get a permit for that.
Yeah, it is not one of those violations that people are, advised and know about. I know that my next door neighbor has done that in the past without a permit. I know that a lot of people do it without a permit. So based on that, I think that it's $300 fine is fair.
I have a question. What can I do about the tree in front of the door? I am about to change my door again.
You need to speak to the code officer.
Thank you.
That concludes the ticket appeals.
Okay.
Item number 124 through 126. 124 is MHVIO 2018-00534. Item number 125 is MHVIO 2018-00536. Item number 126, MHVIO 2018-00548. San Souci Apartments Properties. Code Officer Vanessa Willis, and that's items number 124 through 126.
Okay, 3 separate cases. Will the property owner state your name and street address for the record?
Nancy Verga, the mailing address, well, the property address or the mailing address for the property owner?
The property address.
1775 and 1795 Northeast 116th Court and 1790 Northeast 117th Court.
And your last name is Burko?
Verga,
Burga. Okay.
with a V.
Are you the owner?
I'm the property manager.
Okay. City, proceed.
Good morning, Vanessa Willis, City of North Miami Code Compliance Officer. These cases were previously adjudicated. I'll start with the one MHVIO 2018-00534. This particular file, I asked for the slip strips to be placed on the stair steps, and to date, they have not been placed on the stair steps. If you would like to see photos, city will enter the photos as Exhibit 1.
Show them
would
to
like
the
to?
property owner.
Sure.
I actually spoke to Vanessa on Monday. The work has been completed, and I did bring pictures. Okay, I don't, so they need to, I think that was, he has the tape. He can go on every single stair. I don't think they realized it needed to be on every single stair. They did make the maintenance did not realize they had to be on every single stair, and that, I will honestly say, was not made clear. Not because Vanessa hasn't been wonderful, and she has been, but we have more than enough tape. They will complete taping all of the stairs and the areas where the cement, where the tile was missing has been replaced with cement as well.
And we're talking about the violation which ends in 534. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any response? What is your recommendation?
Yes, I need my file. Just one moment.
Here's your file.
Okay, Special Magistrate, since this file has been opened, believe the file was open April 6, 2018, and I know they had a lot of issues and they've been working. However, the previous special magistrate adjudicated and said January 9th comply. I would ask that the fines go forth with the understanding that they need to replace the remaining stair steps or the slip strips that have not been placed on the stairs at this time.
So on this file, a prior magistrate has already adjudicated the
Yes, sir.
property owner?
Yes.
And how many days have passed since that prior adjudication?
It's probably almost 3 months. The January 9th, it says abate by January 9th, 2019. Fine set at $250 per day plus a $100 cost assessment for the administrative fees. So I would just ask that the fines go forth since they're not in compliance.
They were supposed to be in compliance as of January 9th,
Correct.
okay, of this year,
Yes.
okay. Anything further from the property owner?
There were a lot of violations that we have been working tirelessly on with the property owners and the contractors and Ms. Willis for close to a year now. The property owner has spent over $70,000 to get all of these issues into compliance and has kept them into compliance as we have gotten things done. The adjudication with the repairs to the railings and the staircases was part of the package of completing the work with the painting contractors. They just completed their work this past week. They did leave extra tape, so I can indeed have our maintenance staff apply the extra tape to the remaining stairs. They did not realize it needed to be on every single stair or this would have been completed. The delays to the completion of the painting is due to the unseasonable inclement weather that occurred in January and February. It delayed the completion for those related items, including the fascia and the soffit work, which is one of the other violations we're here for.
On case number ending in 00534, based on the testimony of the city's code enforcement officer, the photographs and other evidence presented, it appears that the property has now been out of compliance since January 9th of 2019. And I hereby ratify the fines accrued to date. And anything further that the city is seeking?
Nothing further, just what the other special magistrate assessed, which was the $250 per day and the $100 court cost, and that fine will continue to run
Right.
until the
And
slip
I
strips.
will ratify that, and the fines will continue
Thank you.
to run until there is compliance by the property owner.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm sorry. To be clear, we're going to go ahead with the $250 per day. I mean, this has been part of a bigger project that the property owners have been working on. I am going to honestly say, in the respect of the property owners, with what they have been working on and have been trying to get done on this property, it has been a daily job over the last year. It is not for lack of moving forward with these items. And considering that I know that we have two other items or at least two other items that are coming up, I really feel that $250 a day is a huge amount for them to pay, given what they have been doing on this property over the last year. And that's in addition to the items that they've been, the other upgrades that they've been doing to the property that have absolutely nothing to do with code violations.
Yeah. I am bound by a prior adjudication made by a prior special magistrate. He set a compliance date. There is no compliance, so the fines keep running at the amount previously set. You will have an opportunity in the future to explain and mitigate the fines. I understand there's a process with the city manager to do that. And so any good faith efforts to mitigate will certainly be considered by the city manager, who has authority to do that at a future date. But I'm bound by the prior adjudication and will reaffirm his findings and the lack of compliance. So let's move on to the next case.
Next case is MHVIO 2018-00536. This one was for the dumpster enclosure that needed to be repaired, gate replaced and painted. This one was previously adjudicated as well, found guilty by the magistrate, must abate by January 9, 2019. $100 cost assessment plus the fine set at $250 per day. To date, they are not in compliance. Those gates need to have the green screen across the front, and they're never closed. I'll show you the photos that were taken yesterday where the dumpster enclosure is outside of the dumpster. The can or the receptacle is outside of the dumpster enclosure. So I'll submit those photos to evidence, but they are not in compliance today.
Please show the photographs to the property manager. Any objection to the introduction of the photographs
No.
into evidence? Without objection, admit it. Please proceed.
Special Magistrate, I would just ask that the fines go forward dating back to the January 9th compliance date due to their lack of compliance.
Anything else from the property owner?
I'm going to very honestly answer this question and say that my understanding in my previous conversations with Officer Willis was that I do not recall a conversation about green screening. The only conversation was that there were some areas of the dumpster enclosure that needed to be repaired on, as well as another dumpster enclosure on the neighboring property, and that work was done, and the dumpster enclosures were painted as part of the painting. I honestly was not aware of any issue with green screening. And if I missed that in a conversation with her, that is really not to my recollection. To the best of my knowledge, we were in compliance with that months ago.
Can you explain, I'm not sure that I understand the issue with the dumpster and the enclosure and the green, whatever. What's the issue there?
The dumpster enclosure should be concealed from view. As you can see by the photos, the dumpster is open. It's just more like a U shape that's there, meaning 3 sides are there, but the front portion is a chain link gate. But it should be something where it's totally concealed, whether you put a green screen, whether you put the wooden planks, you know, so that it actually encloses it. It's a dumpster enclosure, should enclose the actual dumpster and have it concealed from view.
And the dumpster should not be sitting outside.
It should not.
I believe the dumpster is outside because they are in the process of finishing the seal coat, the blacktopping and the striping, and there is caution tape going across there. If you notice, I
Yes.
believe they blacktopped inside there, and they must have pulled the dumpster out so that the dumpster was available. I'm guessing from the picture, because they were to have finished the striping on Monday, but because of the rain, they're supposed to be finishing today.
They were supposed to be
But that-
finished on January 9th.
No.
No?
The seal coating and striping was not a January 9th
It
issue.
is. That's the next case. It is. It was supposed to be complied with as of January
No.
9th.
And we spoke before the February trial, we were waiting for a permit from the city. They could not move forward before January 9th because we were still waiting for the permit approvals from the city. That was, and I have to say, this is where I'm a little confused, and maybe it's just my misunderstanding of this, but when we were in these previous hearings, the issue was that we were looking for an extension because there were reasons why the work had to be delayed. The extensions were being asked because there were still outstanding issues that had to be taken care of before the work could be finished. To adjudicate something, and again, I now realize I misunderstood what was going on in the hearing, and I realize that just is what it is, but to adjudicate something that we were still waiting for, and especially in the case of the seal coating and striping, we were still waiting for approvals from the city to move forward. At the very least, that should have certainly been given an extension, not an adjudication. I mean, I understand what, you know, as far as these other items that, you know, maybe it wasn't found that an additional time was needed, but to adjudicate something where we were still waiting for permitting from the city, which had been in since October, I don't really feel that that's something that should have been adjudicated.
Okay, we're dealing with a dumpster issue right now. And the
I
enclosure.
understand, and that's
Okay.
where it's coming
Let's
from.
not
but-
jump ahead. So let's deal with that. That was adjudicated, correct?
Yes.
And compliance
January 9th.
date was January 9th.
Yes, sir.
And as I stated, we were under the impression we had complied by repairing the items on the dumpsters. There was no discussion about that having to be completely enclosed. Enclosed in the sense that covered, it is
Right.
enclosed, the enclosure is there. There was no conversation about that needing to be covered to not see into the enclosure.
What is the date of the photograph?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday. And we typically don't go back. What happened, my photos got destroyed. So I had to go back yesterday. And she did call me to tell me that everything was in compliance prior to. But as I explained to her, I said, once we have an adjudication and we have a date that we're to go back to check, we're not allowed to go back out after the fact to find out whether or not you've complied. You should have complied by January 9th, unless you have a special exception.
And I didn't even take pictures of the dumpster enclosure because, again, my understanding was we had complied with that months ago. That
Okay,
was not anything I was concerned about.
Madam Code Officer, was that something that was brought up at the adjudication hearing before the prior special magistrate?
I'm not certain if it was brought up at the hearing, but I know that myself and Ms. Verga have been back and forth with conversations, and I do believe that I did express to her how that could be complied with, how she can abate the violation. If she was unclear, I mean, I would think that could be a conversation. When you comply, one should call. It's advisable that they call and say, hey, we're in compliance. We did what we needed to do. We go back to the properties at the time that they're supposed to be re-inspected. At the time that I went back, it was not in compliance. I haven't really spoken with Ms. Berger since then to say that from January up until now that we've had a conversation specifically regarding the dumpster enclosure. So, recently, no, we haven't had a conversation, but in the past, I'm sure. I mean, we're talking almost a year ago, so it's hard for me to recollect, but I do believe that I'm thorough in explaining the violations.
Okay, so the prior magistrate adjudicated the case as to the dumpster and set a compliance date for January 9th,
Yes,
right? So the fines have been running at $250 a day since the adjudication,
well,
since the failure to comply date.
well, this is the first time we've been back since the failure to comply.
Okay,
So he adjudicated November, at the November, I believe, at the November hearing. And so this is the first time we're back since that adjudication.
and what you're asking me to do today is to ratify the
Yes,
fines?
yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give the property owner 30 days to complete the city attorney is nodding her head. I'm gonna hear from you in a minute. But based on what appears to be a misunderstanding between the property owner and code compliance with respect to what is required in terms of completely enclosing the dumpster area, and not just have a screen there or a fence, I'm kind of inclined to giving her a little bit more time to do that. Madam City Attorney, is there a legal issue there that you want to make me aware of?
Just because, Your Honor would be going against what a previous magistrate has already ordered. I don't know on what basis, besides the fact that you believe there was a misunderstanding, but Ms. Willis is very accurate, and she has been dealing with this case for a while. I don't really see what the misunderstanding is. If this is something that she needs to appeal further, she can appeal further, but
Yeah.
going
Let
back
me-
on
let
the
me ask you this.
magistrate's ruling.
Yeah, let me ask you this. When a prior magistrate enters an adjudication and sets an abatement date, and the property owner does not comply by the time of the abatement date, the matter comes back to a special magistrate. What is the special magistrate's authority, discretion with respect to that issue? Do I have the authority or discretion to put it off for 30 days? If
Judge-
not, then,
I don't believe you do. She
Okay.
was supposed to comply by the abatement date. Fines have been running. I don't believe you do.
okay. I guess that's a matter then that will have to be addressed by the,
If you'd like, you can set it for when, I believe, was it, Benjamin Gould? Yeah, we can put it if this particular issue, you can put it before the magistrate that actually made the ruling. That way, he can decide if Your Honor isn't inclined to decide. Our recommendation is that the fines keep running, but if Your Honor wants it to be revisited, it should be by the magistrate
No,
who actually
I'm
made-
not suggesting that the clock stop and that the fines not keep on running. The
Okay.
fines will keep on running. I will, my preference is to postpone this hearing for 30 days. The fines are still running, and if there's no compliance by 30 days, if the issue of the dumpster is not abated within 30 days, then I will ratify the fines and for all the days where there was non-compliance.
So she's already been the property has already been adjudicated for this matter. So postponing it while the fines are running is really doing nothing besides if she comes back and she does comply, it doesn't change the fact that she's already been adjudicated for this matter. Like going back and taking away the fines for the 30 days if she actually complies is like stating right now that the fines aren't gonna run.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the fines are still gonna run. What I'm saying is that I do not wanna ratify the fines and allow the city to lien the property until I give the property owner another 30 days within which to comply with respect to the dumpster issue.
What would be the difference in that situation if she comes back and they comply in the 30 days, if she's already been adjudicated and the fines have already been running?
She will have to pay the fines or
if
mitigate the
she-
fines.
And if she hasn't, okay, so if she, is Your Honor saying that if she fixes the violation for the dumpster, then she's not gonna be responsible for the fines
No, the
that have
fines
been
are
running?
still running. That
So
she's been
there's-
adjudicated.
So what is the purpose then of postponing it in order to do that? At the end of the day, she's still gonna be paying for the fines and she's still adjudicated.
You make a good point. It doesn't
I
get
w-
you
I was-
anywhere.
I was just going to agree with her.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't get you
I know what you're
anywhere.
trying to do, and I
Okay.
appreciate that fact. But I think the larger issue is that, there were a lot of issues with not just that dumpster, but 2 other dumpsters on the properties. I promise you, and I realize Vanessa and I have been going through this for a long time, but had that been understood, it would have been taken care of. There's no reason for it not to be. It wasn't even something I would have need advance owner approval. It wasn't a large ticket item like the repainting of the buildings or the parking lots. So it is, again, it is something that we believed we were in compliance with months ago. So it is not something that, is going to take time to get completed. We'll call
Well-
somebody and we'll have it repaired, but
Based on the legal position of the city, which I now understand clearly, your best hope is to keep working as hard as you can, and once there's compliance, the property owner can come back to the city and make a case for mitigation of the fines. But my hands are tied based on a prior adjudication, and since I cannot stop the fines from running, I am going to ratify the fines, the property having been out of compliance, and accrue to date, plus any cost and fees that may be running in favor of the city with respect to this particular violation, ending in 536.
And if you can, I'm just gonna throw this in, if you can get someone to put that green screen on there today, I can go by there today, at least the fines will stop as of today, which will help. And then when you come back before the magistrate, if you wanna, see if he will mitigate the amount or whatever, you can try that, but, unless
Who
she.
does the mitigation? The special magistrate or the city manager?
Well, because she's gonna have to come back for the other ones that she is not in compliance, and she can request to come back before that from what I believe, that she can request to come back to that magistrate, Special Magistrate Benjamin. She can request that and discuss it at that time, but if there's nothing that she can do on the tail end, once speaking with the special magistrate, she can go to the city manager to ask if those, fines can be mitigated, reduced.
Okay. Okay, next case.
Okay. Next case is MHVIO 2018-00548. This case is for the recoding of the parking areas and restriping. They were found guilty by the magistrate, asked to abate by January 9, 2019, $100 court costs and fines at $250 per day. As of yesterday, they were not finished, and as Ms. Verga stated, that the finishing and seal coating is not complete or was not complete yesterday due to the weather. Yeah. So they're not in compliance.
And I'm sorry, I do take exception to this entire issue. It was made very clear when we were here on November 9th that the issue was that we were waiting for the permit. I do not remember the exact date that the permit was finally given to the pavers, but it was most definitely sometime in the month of January and would have been after January 9th. The mobilization of the completion of that work was only delayed due to weather. We had this on the schedule with the pavers at least 3 times, and it had to be pushed back due to weather. This was not an issue that we could just send somebody out there and blacktop and stripe. We had to have a permit. And the permits were delayed because the city was requesting that handicap spaces be put in, and I did mention this at the last hearing that we were at, when I believed we were given an extension, which is what we asked for. Because of the fact that there was some information that the city was requesting in order to, what they were asking for would have required a complete restructuring of the parking lot. And we weren't looking to do that. All we were looking to do was blacktop and stripe to meet the code requirement. So the contractor had to go back to the city multiple times. And due to the holidays and what have you, they weren't able to get with the building department until well after the January 9th hearing. We would have never made that deadline, even from the case of having the permit in our hand, to be able to start the work. The adjudication on November 9th, when they knew that we were in a situation with the building department, doesn't really make any sense to me. The whole conversation was asking for the extension because we didn't even have a permit in our hands. So I do think this is an issue with this particular, with respect to the parking lot issues. This is an issue that is affecting the property owner unfairly, in my opinion.
Response from the city?
Yes. Special Magistrate, just want to ask Ms. Berger, do you have a copy of the permit with you right now?
I do not have a copy of the permit with
Okay,
me.
because Special Magistrate, my reason for asking her that is the date of when the actual permit was applied for. Do you recall what that date was?
I don't.
Okay.
I would have to look at my records for them when they told me that they put in the paperwork, but
Okay.
beyond that, I don't recall.
Okay, I can check in the back. Someone has a laptop back there. I can check with the date if we need it, if we need to go there. But the issue is that the file was open April 6, 2018. So we're almost a year later, and we're just now getting into having the parking lots paved. Now, as she gave testimony, they are not finished. They are not even finished with the driveways at this time, which
Striping.
which is the completion of it. The issue that she was having regarding permitting, because I do look, there were some things that building department failed. There were some things that should have been submitted that were not submitted. So that was on her contractor. That contractor should have been experienced enough to do what he needed to do and submit it so that it would pass. I understand we all run into roadblocks with different things that we have to do, but we're still talking about a matter from April 6, 2018 up until now. So, Special Magistrate, I would like to ask that the fines go forth at this time until she's able to finish the driveway, the parking lot.
As in the prior case that was previously adjudicated, I will find in favor of the city, ratify the fines, let the fines continue, and find in favor of the city in regards to cost and any other.
250.
250?
Yes.
Okay.
per day.
I don't, Madam City Attorney, explain to me why these cases come back when there has already been an adjudication and a compliance date. Why do they need to come back? What if I have no authority to grant a continuance or to reduce the fine or to stop the fines, then why bring it back?
Well, you definitely have the authority, am I on? You definitely have the authority for it to be continued. She's gonna have to come back because we need to see if she complied. But once she's found guilty and she's paying, the incentive is, the fines are there for a reason. The reason is an incentive for them to get the work done and completed and not be in violation. It keeps getting continued because we have to check if she's gonna actually, well, not her, but the property owner is actually going to fix the violations. So it's gonna have to come back no matter what. She's still not,
Well, what the
and if she
My-
is ahead of time, she will contact Ms. Willis and let
let's
her know.
say that let's say there is no compliance for the next year.
The
What's
fines
the
keep
point?
running.
What is the point of bringing it back to the special magistrate if the special magistrate is not empowered to suspend the fines or to or grant a continuance?
Special Magistrate, one thing that I will say, and I know from the past, once they've received an adjudication, they're supposed to comply by that date. When they're coming back, it's to inform, basically further informing them that they are not in compliance and allow you to go ahead and make that judgment call. Mr. Bassett,
Yeah, it sounds to me like this is in the nature of a
Yeah.
progress report. You're coming back and you're letting the special magistrate know that the property owner is X number of days out of compliance, the fines are accruing, and then what is the special
Special
magistrate
Magistrate,
supposed
can I
to do?
interject real quick?
Yes,
Good afternoon,
Please.
Gary Bezick from the City of North Miami Building Department. The purpose of it is coming back today is for ratification. You do have the right to hold off on it and extend it. You have that obligation, you have that
Gotcha.
right.
I understand.
It's for ratification to see
So-
if it's in compliance. or
So
not.
that's what I thought.
Correct, yes.
I thought that when I ratify, that is what gives the city the authority to file a lien.
Correct, that's when it starts, that's when the fines start. It's today. You're ratifying for the.
I am
this-
ratifying the fines accrued to date and authorizing you then to start liening the property.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, based on the testimony and evidence presented by the code officer, other evidence, photographs, and materials, I hereby ratify the fine. The property has been out of compliance since January the 9th, and I assess fees and costs to the city of North Miami.
Okay, Special Magistrate, are we retro back to January 9th, or are we starting as of today?
No, January 9th. It's the
Okay.
date that was set by the prior special magistrate, and I'm not going to overrule him.
Thank you.
But to be clear, did I just understand him correctly that you do have the ability to say that it would start today? Because that's what it just sounded like to me from that conversation.
My ruling is that a compliance date was set by a special magistrate as of January 9th, and that the fines would run after January 9th. And so I am ratifying a prior decision of the, of a prior special magistrate.
Okay.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Any more cases on this property?
Item number 78, CEGMP 2018-000425, Jean Vera and wife Marie, Officer Jose Perez, and that's item number 78 for property 40 Northeast 125th Street.
Please proceed.
Translator?
Ye-
Yes.
Need a translator? Sir, please state your full name and street address for the record.
Okay. My name, Dio,
My name
is Jean Verrier,
is Jean Verrier,
40 Notice, 40 Notice,
40 Notice,
125 Street.
125th Street.
Are you the property owner?
C'est où qui est propriétaire au terrain?
33,
C'est
161.
où? Est-ce que c'est où qui est
Oui,
propriétaire?
oui, c'est moi, c'est moi.
Yes, I am.
Okay, city, please proceed.
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon. City of North Miami Code Enforcement Officer Perez. Today we're hearing the case in reference to the property at 40 Northeast 125th Street, North Miami, Florida, 33161. This is in reference to the exterior of the property that should be painted in good repair to include the awnings with city's color approval. At the time of the re-inspection on March 13th, the property had not complied. I have photographs of the violation. I'll show the property owner, and I'll enter them into evidence.
Is this a ratification hearing?
If I'm not mistaken, no, this is first hearing.
Okay.
Non, pas première fois, ça fait quatrième fois.
No, it's not the first time, it's the fourth time.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, it's not the first time I come here, it's the fourth time.
This is the first time I'm
On this property?
Correct.
On this
my
particular violation?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Ça c'est première fois sous propriété ça.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mais ça, ajusté à bon pour me juge là.
I was given papers to give to the judge.
Yes, I'll be with him in just a minute. I just want to hear from the city first.
Ok, ok.
I'll admit the photographs. And the issue here is paint.
Correct. The exterior of the property needs to be either pressure washed to be restored to a pristine condition, and the awnings neither need to be painted or pressure washed as well. If it's going to be painted, they need city's approval on the color.
Yeah, mais Mabdou, ils offrent pas peinture.
What
I'm
if they
going to tell you,
One moment, I want to hear from the city first. He needs to come in and get a permit for painting the property and make sure that the paint is appropriate? Is
No,
that-
no permit. They just need to get the approved color from the city. They have a color palette that they have certain colors that they allow. At that point, he would just go down to the community planning and development department, and they would tell them which color is allowed.
What if it's the same color?
If it's the same color, it could be painted as is.
Without a permit?
No permits needed for paint on residential properties.
Okay. Got it. Mr. Verrier?
Même pas
Yes.
peinture qu'on y est parce que il crase
De-
en réparation.
Do you contest the violation?
Est-ce qu'on dit ou pas d'accord avec violation? Est-ce qu'on dit qu'on pas d'accord avec violation? C'est ce qu'on c'est déclaration?
C'est appraiser qui a réglé tout ça fait avec assurance, m'pas qu'on rien dans ça.
The appraiser is working with my insurance to take care of everything. I don't know anything about all this.
Yes. Yes.
Last mercredi saut passé, ils viennent faire des inspections.
Last Wednesday, they came and inspected
Pour last time. Et ça, ils disent.
for the last time.
Quand il y a vraiment des faits, il y a vraiment des temps. Pour moi, ça assurance. Pas tous ces contrats. Ouais, tous ces contrats que signent.
C'est juge là pour dire ça, monsieur. Juge là pour dire ça. Dans le film par la
Ok, ma femme. C'est ajusté à ça.
We're going to pass on this case right now. Ask the property owner to stay, and we will bring him back shortly.
Ou pral chita un moment, yo pral et puis y a pral relé ou tal. OK? Ou chita un moment, y a pral relé.
Ok, all right.
Very well, thank you.
Just a very brief continuance.
Ou pral attendre un petit moment tout petit.
Ok, merci.
Let's hear the next case.
Item number 2, MHVIO 2018-000742, 13033 Holdings Group LLC, Officer Gary Beswick, and that's item number 2.
Ma'am, would you please state your full name and street address for the record?
Yes, it's Dewey Paulina. The address
Spell your name.
DEWI and POLINA.
P-O-L-N-A.
POLINA.
Paulina,
Yes.
and your home address?
13045 West Dixie Highway, North Miami.
Are you the owner of the property?
I'm just a lease, a salon lease.
You're leasing the property?
Yes.
She's a tenant.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. City, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Gary Bezick for the City of North Miami Building Department. The property was first cited for interior renovation without obtaining the required permit. I observed the inspection. I went to the property for a certificate of use permit inspection, which is a permit that required for businesses in the city. At that point, there was no permit for the work that was done. So that's what the violation is for.